Mara didn't believe in ghosts. She believed in paperwork, property taxes, and the fine print of inheritance law. So when a letter landed on her doormat, informing her she'd inherited her Greta Quell's estate on Rathmore Hill, she didn't feel a shiver of fear. She felt a surge of practicality. She packed a bag, booked a train, and arrived just as the sun began to bleed across the horizon. The house was lot, enormous, pure, textbook Victorian Gothic. It was the kind of place that looked like it had secrets buried in the very mortar between its stones. Thick ivy strangled the stonework like green veins pulsing on ancient skin, but the windows were tall and narrow, like watching eyes that had seen centuries pass. As she approached, the massive front door creaked open, seemingly on its own. An invitation or a warning? Mara wasn't sure. Inside, the air was thick and stale, a perfume of forgotten time. Dust motes danced like tiny fairies in the golden shafts of late afternoon light, cutting through the grime on the windows. The furniture was draped in white sheets, resembling a ghostly slumber party. She moved through the rooms, her practical mind taking inventory. Cracked wallpaper here, warped floorboards there. The scent was a mix of old wood and something else. Something deeper, like old memories left to decay. In the parlor, one object held her attention. A grandfather clock. It was tall, ornate, and utterly wrong. It had 13 hours on its face. Mara frowned, a crease forming between her brows. That's not right. It was an odd design choice, to say the least. She found the winding key, but it wouldn't budge. The mechanism was frozen solid, and yet the pendulum swung on its own, a soft, rhythmic ticking that seemed to count down to something unknown. A cold prickle ran down her spine. She pulled out her phone for a dose of modern reality. No signal, no Wi-Fi, just a blinking low battery icon in a time Y-A-P-M. She blinked, rubbed her eyes, and looked again. That wasn't possible. It had to be a glitch. She tried to shake off the growing unease. She headed to the kitchen, perhaps hoping to find something normal, something mundane. The room looked almost untouched, as if someone had just stepped out. A single teacup sat on the counter, half full. She cautiously touched the ceramic. The tea was warm, colder than the evening air washed over her. She hadn't made it. She was sure she was alone. Turning back toward the hallway, her eyes caught something she hadn't noticed before. A portrait. It was of a woman dressed in severe, old-fashioned clothing. The unnerving part. The woman looked exactly like her, but older, with a sadness in her eyes that Mara had never felt. A small brass plaque was fixed at the bottom of the frame. It read, Margaret Rathmore, 1883 to 1906. Mara's heart began to thud against her ribs. As if in a trance, she reached out and touched the gilded frame. In the painted face, the eyes blinked. She stumbled back, a gasp caught in her throat, and ran. She fled up the grand staircase, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. But the hallway at the top seemed different, stretched on longer than it had any right to be. Doors lined the walls, an endless row of them, all closed shut, except one. One door was slightly ajar, a sliver of darkness inviting her in. It was a nursery. Toys were scattered across the floor, frozen in a state of play. In the center of the room, a wooden rocking horse moved gently back and forth, creaking softly, though the air was perfectly still. On the far wall hung a large, ornate mirror. Her reflection stared back at her, but it wasn't quite her. Its reflection was older, its eyes hollow and shadowed, and its lips were stretched into a wide, unsettling smile. Mara spun away, her breath catching in her throat, but she could feel it. The mirror kept watching. She scrambled back down to the parlor, her mind reeling. And then the clock began to chime. Bong, bong. Not 12 times, 13. A deep, resonant toll for each unnatural hour on its face. With the final chime, the entire house seemed to groan, a deep, guttural sound from its very foundations. The lights, which had been weak, dimmed to a near blackout. Panic finally taken hold, Mara lunged for the front door, her only thought to escape. But it was gone. Not locked, not jammed, it was simply gone. Where the door had been, there was now only a seamless stretch of wallpaper and wood. She opened her mouth to scream, a raw, primal sound of terror, but nothing came out. The house had stolen her voice. Her mind raced. There was one place left, the attic. She ran, her feet flying up the steep, narrow stairs. The air grew colder with every step, clinging to her skin like a damp shroud. At the top, under a single, dusty window, sat a small table, and on it, a leather-bound diary. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The ink was faded, the handwriting elegant but spidery. The first page she read sent ice through her veins. The 13th hour is when the house remembers, when the blood returns, when the air awakens. With a shaking finger, she flipped the page. Her own name was written there, scrawled in what looked terrifyingly like red ink. Mara Rathmore. 1995 to 2025. She dropped the book as if it had burned her. The floor beneath her feet began to pulse, a slow, rhythmic heartbeat. The house was alive. It was awake. And it knew her name. Desperate, she ran to the small attic window, clawing at the latch. Outside, there was nothing. No town, no stars, no moon. Just a thick, swirling gray fog that pressed against the glass like a living entity, suffocating the world. Ski turned, a final, hopeless act. The mirror from the nursery was there, standing in the middle of the attic. And stepping out from its silvered surface, as if walking through water, was her reflection. It's the hollow-eyed, smiling woman. The grandfather clock in the parlor below ticked one more time, and Mara was gone. Thanks for joining me on this chilling tale. If you enjoy stories that send a shiver down your spine, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Mara's fate. Till next time, stay curious.